Good evening, cult members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And this is review 748 in the last...
683.
Is that what we said the last time?
Yeah, I think that's what you said.
683. This is going to be... I'm just going to say we're going to spoil the hell out of Ford versus Ferrari. I say it that way because this is a known story. We know it's a known thing.
Yes.
The story is known.
Yes.
There's a really good book about it, and the book had just left my name. I think it's actually called Ford versus Ferrari. The 24-hour. I've read the book and I don't remember what it's called. Actually, I had it read to me. I have a million things to say about this movie.
Of course you do.
But overall, I'm going to start with you. How did you like this movie?
So I liked it. I might be how you were in the last review in that.
That's fair.
So we love Carroll Shelby. We were able to get his autograph before he passed away. Had him sign a Shelby Mustang, a small car, not one of the big ones. And we were both like giddy little
fangirling
school kids. Oh my God, Carroll Shelby. And I loved both of their performances. I will say that, and maybe it's just because I knew the story, so in comparison to Rush, I felt more tension in the relationship and the race scenes because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know that story.
That's fair.
But overall, I thought it was a really good movie.
I can appreciate that thought process because I struggled with that for a little bit too. It's because I know that in '66 the GT40s won, and I knew the struggles in '65, and I knew the struggle of them building the cars and Carroll and Ken Miles's relationship and how it was like obnoxiously brotherly love. They like absolutely loved each other, but they also fought each other like brothers, and they had each other's backs. And
that was one thing that I talked about right after we saw it, was that from the previews, I felt their relationship was more strained, or like they weren't really friends. They were more like work friends, or adversarial, but they were really good friends.
I'm thinking right now as we're kind of talking through this process is I don't think they quite sold the movie the right way. I'm not saying that it wasn't sold badly. I'm not going to say that it was sold badly. I think there was a better way of selling this movie, and that is the underdog beating the big dog. I think if you tell that story in the trailers, and by the way, you have Christian Bale and Matt Damon, John Bernthal, and like all these really really great actors in it, and tell the little guy, and it's kind of hard to say the little guy versus the big guy because Ford at that point in time in the world was making more cars in a day than Ferrari was producing in an entire year,
right?
But Ferrari was the Goliath when it came to auto racing, especially the Le Mans series.
Yeah, it was definitely a concerted marketing strategy, whether it was the right one or not, to highlight more Matt Damon, the actor, Christian Bale, the actor, are playing these two guys, and there's kind of some of this funny adversarial stuff going on, like the scene with them after they get done fighting, and Ken Miles' wife is sitting out there in the chair watching them, everything, that kind of stuff, or Deuce Henry Ford II in the car crying, right? Yeah. So those were in the trailers. So they showed more of that, and they really didn't talk about the fact that this was Ford versus Ferrari, other than that's the name
of the movie. Yeah.
Maybe to draw more women, I mean, I hate to say that. I knew who Carroll Shelby was, but
yes, but the general public out there, the
Or husbands that want to go see the movie and they're trying to talk their wives into it, and their wives are like, "Oh."
And I think the general public, as you know, in the middle of the road moviegoer, not us who go see 6 movies a week kind of thing, but the general movie going person is probably looking at this and going, I can wait a week and take my kids to go see Frozen, or I can go watch another race car movie. And so I think that maybe if it would have been sold a little bit differently with the fight that actually was happening, and maybe a little bit more of a, hey, this is a real story. We're kind of getting off. I'm not gonna say it's getting off topic, but
I think they just. I mean, most of the theater we went and saw it in IMAX, so that's a very big theater. There's I don't know how many seats, but a lot.
It was full.
It was full, but it was not a younger crowd. So not younger, potentially parents with their kids and a babysitter or whatever. It was a much older crowd, people who probably remember when that was going on. Definitely knew who Carol Shelby was. So in that instance, the husband's in. It's Carol Shelby.
Yeah.
Now we got to sell it to the wife.
Except for the guy that was sitting next to us who fell asleep. Like straight on snoring the last 20 minutes, which we were giggling because we thought it was funny. The movie, I was very concerned about them making this movie when we were going into it because I felt that they were going to Hollywoodize it.
Right.
And in based on a true story, and really the only thing that you used is the character names, and it was located in Los Angeles. Like that kind of stuff it always makes me nervous. But they stayed pretty close to what the story is.
Yeah.
And I understand that you can't tell this. It's a 4 or 5 year story.
Yeah.
You can't really tell that 4 or 5 year story in a 2 hour and 15-minute movie. Is that what this ended up being?
It was long. Yeah.
Where is it? 2:32. So yeah, it's a long movie.
Yeah.
I never felt like it was obnoxiously long.
No.
And I still think that there was more that they could have told about this story, especially the Ferrari stuff before Henry II was trying to buy Ferrari.
Yeah.
I think that all of that stuff and why Enzo was doing that for he was spending every dime and some dimes that he didn't have to do the racing stuff.
Yeah.
And
but
I think
what were you going to cut to tell that?
Yeah, and I appreciate what they did, but they stayed fairly close to the real story. And then they actually, I felt that they were going to end on this big high note of them going 1, 2, 3 at Le Mans in '66, and they told the epilogue that is the story. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the epilogue is, but if you know the story, you know what happens. And I'm really surprised that they actually told that as the epilogue. I'm surprised they didn't finish it with.
Yeah, they went all the way.
They went all the way through, and I went back and forth as I was watching the movie. I was highly entertained. I'm probably gonna buy it. I'm probably gonna watch it a bunch of times. Like Rush, I love Rush for the same reasons.
Yeah,
to tell the behind the scenes story of the actual racing stuff is really important. But I just was super happy that they actually did this the way they did. And like race car driving is really hard to film, specifically on big road courses like Le Mans, like Sebring, like Watkins Glen, like the Nürburgring, like all of those. It's very hard because the courses are so big and the car's way over there and there's 1,000 trees in the way. And they did a great job of
and so most of the shots that were on the course were actually in the cockpit of the car, or cars, if they were racing against each other or whatever. There really wasn't, this is back in the 60s, so drone shots probably would have been a little jarring for you're in that time period, and then you've got
this overhead shot coming down.
Yeah.
There's one in the trailer that they were using for the IMAX trailer where they were using like a drone shot coming in behind the car or behind the GT40 and doing that. And they don't really use that in the movie.
Yeah.
If they do, it's very quick. It's like a lot shorter than what they use in the trailer. and a lot of the car stuff is practical.
Yeah.
They do some stuff, some of the crashes and stuff like that. They enhance.
Obviously,
you have to do that for just safety reasons of
right.
the drivers. Right now, they're doing a promotion of Matt Damon and Christian Bale as co-leads and Oscar nomination push and stuff.
Yeah.
And Christian Bale is one of the top 5 actors on the planet right now. Like his ability to do all these different types of characters and very flamboyant and then very subdued, like what he did with Dick Cheney, and like all of that back and his ability to be able to do that is so amazing. So his performance as Ken Miles was this big, flamboyant, ruffled a lot of feathers kind of person, and him being able to do that was really, 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 really well done.
Yeah.
Matt Damon's performance, I think, is probably better, even though it's not as flashy, because we've seen so much stuff with Carol, and we've seen how Carol was as a person. Again, very straight talker, no BS. I'm going to do it my way. If you don't like it, I'll get up and leave and figure it out somewhere else.
Yeah.
And his also emotional, because Carol was a race car driver, won the 24 Hours of Le Mans as an American, and then had to quit racing because of his heart issue. So that emotion that Matt Damon was able to display in his face and his mannerisms and stuff like that is really hard, because he's a driver first and a car builder second. Yeah. And so he wanted to be out there on the track and do stuff. And you could always kind of get that sense from him. Now, do I think these 2 performances are in the top 5 of the year so far? It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
But they are very good performances.
Yeah. Exactly what you just said.
And I don't know how to say her name from Outlander, who played Molly Miles.
Catriona
Balfe? Balfe?
Balfe.
She's really good as the she's Ken Miles' wife, but she's really good as the center post for all of them to kind of be around.
And I've said this before, and I will say this to this movie as well. I am happy that she wasn't the stereotypical reluctant. I mean, there is a scene where she is upset because he has said he's not going to race anymore, but it's not quite for the reasons that you expect. She's not. It's not that she doesn't want him to race. She just doesn't want him to lie to her about it. And so usually it's.
I love their relationship, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I love their relationship.
They're amazing. But usually you expect the wife to be like, you're gonna die and you can't do this, and she was super, super supportive.
Yeah.
Like when they went to Le Mans, spoilers, without him the first time,
right,
and he's kind of putzing around the shop, and so she comes in and brings him dinner, and she understands that he's upset that he's not there, and but he wants to be a team player, and,
right,
and so
he's getting paid $200 a day to work on cars. It's a big deal.
I just appreciated that she was more deep than just the I don't want you to race wife.
Yeah. And I from what I've read about Ken and Molly and their relationship, that was very true to who they were as people, as a married couple. She married him because he was a badass, and and she found it all. The only other person I want to talk about was John Bernthal as Lee Iacocca. The iconicness of who is Lee Iacocca. Having John Bernthal play him, I was very hesitant about it, but he did a good job. It did a really good job.
Although the severe part.
It
was like, whoa.
And to be honest, John's physical size threw me off for a second, because just John's he's not a big muscular guy, but he is a physical person. Watch the Punisher and all the stuff that he does.
I mean,
but he's just
Lee Iacocca in the 70s, and late 70s and 80s, he was fat.
Right.
In the 60s,
he was a younger guy at that point. That makes sense. That makes sense. But that was my one hesitation. And they do a great job of, like, in the background, there's a real Ferrari Daytona, and there's a real, there's a real GC40 that they actually raced in the background, and a bunch of
Shelbys, he's selling Shelbys.
So they do a great job of integrating the cars, but not like throwing in your face. It's not about the cars themselves. It's about the characters and building a car to go race at Le Mans. And so having those in the background was really, really cool for me.
Yep.
So I guess I could go on for another hour about everything that goes on around the movie and the story and everything. But let's give it a score.
A 4?
I'm not upset with that.
No, I just gave the last movie a 4, and it's like, well, but they're so different.
That's fine.
3.75.
No, give it a 4.
All right, I'll give it a 4.
Don't, because we judge each individual movie by themselves.
I know, but we just did back-to-back reviews, spoilers. So
I'm gonna blow it out of the water, so it doesn't freaking matter. I'm gonna give it a 4.75.
Wow.
Like I'm not kidding. Like
he couldn't shut up like the entire drive.
That's what I was just gonna say. I rambled like without breathing for 15, 20 minutes, and then I finally took a breath and I said, I must like the movie because I can't shut up. and that's why I said I could go on for another hour and go like scene by scene through this whole movie because it's just so well done. I love when they take a historical event and nail it, and they did that with this. That's why I liked Midway. So that's why I liked a lot of the Midway for the same reason. I felt like they nailed the battle and stuff like that so much more. I don't the story was ever, but like they did such a good job. This is probably in Best Picture conversation for Oscars. I don't know if it will necessarily win, but it's definitely in the conversation, much like the last one. But we'll see. Kind of, we're getting to that season where we have to start making those kind of conversations about what's going to be in the award season.
Rocket Man.
We will do an Oscar
Rocket Man
snub before they're actually snubbed conversation at some point in time.
Rocket
soon.
Man.
This is about Ford versus Ferrari. Also, go watch Rocket Man. So, those are thoughts on Ford versus Ferrari. Let us know what you thought of Rocket Man and Ford versus Ferrari in the comments. Like this video. Help us out by subscribing and also helping us out on Patreon. We're also on all the Facebook stuff: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all the Facebook stuff. All of that information is in the description down below. And if you're in the podcast feed, just imagine me pointing downwards. I don't know what to do. We're off the rails. And if we don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.